let me go over this. Let me address one issue, which is the publisher issue. Facebook is not a publisher. Facebook does not have reporters. It does not have articles submitted to it, and it chooses a few and rejects a lot. Facebook is a platform that allows, my guess is 90% of what people submit to be posted. And it has certain standards. Those standards might be wrong. Those standards might be ambiguous. Those standards might be hard to understand. But they have standards where they restrict certain content. It's no different than a auditorium owner who says, anybody can come and give a speech here. But I don't like white supremacists, and I don't like communists, and I don't like objectivists. So I'm not going to rent my hall to objectivists. Anybody going to say, no, you're a publisher because now you're a publisher because you're choosing who to allow in and who not to allow in. No, it's called private property. I've got a platform. I'm going to allow some people to post on that platform and some people not. And some material posted on it I find so offensive I'm going to exclude. It's not a publisher. Publisher has publishing certain standards. It's people submit articles. It reviews the articles. It edits the articles. It only accepts certain, but it doesn't others. It's a platform that has certain standards, just like an auditorium, just like a movie theater. You could have a movie theater. I have a movie theater. I only screen Christian movies. I believe in moral movies, only Christian movies. I don't want non-Christian movies. Does that make me a publisher? No, it just means I have certain standards you might not agree with. And if people don't like my standards, they won't come to my theater. People don't like Facebook standards. At the end of the day, leave Facebook. Greg says on Facebook that the amount accepted in terms of the content produced is way more than 90%. So it's closer to 99.9% probably that's accepted. That's not publishing. Publishing doesn't do that. Right? So the whole idea of treating Facebook as a publisher is bogus. It's a non-starter. It wouldn't, I think even in our court system today, wouldn't stand up in court. And people don't fully press on this because they realize it's an absurdity. I mean, once you start saying that anybody who has a, quote, public platform, but is selective into who can use it or not as a publisher, the term becomes meaningless. And now you're regulating everybody. Okay, I've got 3 other questions I'm going to take. And of course, if you've got another Super Chat question, feel free to ask it here. Can you comment on the claim that Facebook is violating some kind of contract with users? Yes, I mean, I don't think the contract with the users is open-ended. In terms of I do think it's more ambiguous than I would like to see it. And also the way it's written, if you read the contract, it's not exactly a contract. It's the general view of how it would be. And if it was a contract, then you would sue Facebook and there would be a way, there would be recourse. But the fact that nobody's actually sued Facebook, and even, we'll see, what's his name, the guy who's suing YouTube, we'll see what happens with that lawsuit. But it's not on contractual grounds. And again, the contracts are written very carefully by Facebook and others, so you won't be able to sue them. So they're written in a way that it's not a binding contract and that it could change the terms, and that the terms are flexible enough to leave them with discretion. Now, you might say that's not good business practice, and I don't want to work with a platform like that. Then don't work with that platform. You don't like the contract, don't engage in it. But the contract, to the extent that there's a contract here, well, there is a contract here. It is their side, right? It is on, Facebook is protected here legally. A popular claim is regulation is justified to the extent the company gets subsidized tax breaks if there's any validation of this claim. No, I mean, this is an evil, awful, horrible claim, right? The evil is the subsidy. I don't consider tax breaks evil, although I think they're wrong. I think all companies should be taxed exactly the same in a completely predictable way. I think ideally it's zero, but if you're going to have a corporate tax, it should be flat, simple, no exclusions, particularly no exclusions that benefit some people over others. But no, the fact that a business gets subsidies is an argument to stop the subsidies, not an argument to give. So the government has power, has too much power, the power to give subsidies. So the solution, let's give them more power. Now they can regulate every company they give a subsidy to. Oh, cool. Then the government should give subsidies to everybody so they can regulate everybody. Basically, they do. No, no, no. The solution to problems related to subsidies, tax breaks, is to fight for the right thing, which is to reduce the power of government. Always, whenever you're fighting government, you always should be, every law should be judged based on one criteria. Is it moving us towards more freedom or less freedom? Is regulating a subsidized business moving us towards more freedom or less freedom? Well, less freedom, obviously. Ban it. Ban it. So, the only kind of laws we as believers in free markets support should be laws that move us towards more freedom. Reduce the subsidies, eliminate them. Have a simple, flat tax. Right?
You are certainly enough of a political scientist to know that certain movements spring up in reaction to other movements. The labor movement, for instance, certain social welfare legislation. This did not spring full-blown from somebody's head, out of a vacuum. This was a reaction to certain abuses that were going on. Isn't that true, Ian?
Not always. It actually sprang up from the same source as the abuses. If by abuses you mean the legislation, which originally had been established to help industrialists, which was already a breach of complete free enterprise. If then, in reaction, labor leaders get together to initiate legislation to help labor, that is only acting on the same principle, namely, all parties agreeing that it is proper for the state to legislate in favor of one economic group or another. But what I'm saying is that nobody should have the right, neither employers nor employees, to use state compulsion and force.
But when you advocate completely unregulated economic life in which every man works for his own profit, you are asking, in a sense, for a devil-take-the-hindmost, dog-eat-dog society, and one of the main reasons for the growth of government controls was to fight the robber barons, to fight laissez-faire, in which the very people whom you admire the most, the hard-headed industrialists, the successful men, perverted the use of their power. Is that not true?
No, it isn't.
Oh.
This country was made not by robber barons, but by independent men, by industrialists who succeeded on sheer ability.
And having,
by ability, I mean without political force, help, or compulsion. But at the same time, there were men, industrialists, who did use government power as a club to help them against competitors. They were the original collectivists. Today, the liberals believe that that same compulsion should be used against the industrialists for the sake of workers. But the basic principle there is, should there be any compulsion? And the regulations are creating robber barons. They are creating capitalists with government help, which is the worst of all economic phenomena.